slides, okay? So the last thing I want to say is, I have it in my slides. You see that. So by the way, for Visual Studio, I hope after the first week, most of you can use Visual Studio. Either you have Visual Studio 2017 installed on your laptop, or you are able to use Visual Studio 2017 from Application Gateway, okay, Application Gateway. So for students who are using Visual Studio from Application Gateway, so these are the steps you want to follow. I emphasize it again. You need to install VPN on your laptop, okay, VPN, USA VPN. You need to be able to access your S drive, okay, access S drive, because your project will be saved on your S drive. You need to access your work from your S drive. Then you need to zip, right? Zip the whole project and submit the zipped file. That is important, okay? Do not just submit one single file. For example, you submit the SLN file. So this is a bad idea, okay? You need to zip the whole project folder, okay? Whole project folder. Zip the whole project folder. Then submit the zipped file on Canvas, okay, on Canvas. So check your submission after you submit your work, because sometimes, so for several students, the zipped file is damaged. It cannot be opened. Make sure that the zipped file is good before you submit it. So if you have any problem, please let us know as soon as possible, okay? So both G and I will try to respond your email as soon as possible, okay? Try to help you, okay, for this kind of thing. So I understand, so this is a very different semester, and learning technical materials is not easy in such an environment, okay? That's why, so if you have any question, we would be happy to help, okay? We would be happy to help. So today, so we are going to study chapter 2. So by the way, so lab 1 is available on Canvas, okay? And the due date is this Thursday, okay? The midnight is this Thursday. So you can start to work on your lab as soon as possible from now, right? Do not postpone your work until the last minute, for example, right? So I got an email at 11 p.m. So I'm asking for an extension because I have a bunch of different reasons due to what I cannot finish. I have a lot of reasons. The problem for you is, so you postpone your work until last minute. So if you start to work on the lab 1 today, when you have some problem, for example, by tomorrow, you can ask. We would be happy to help, right? It means that on Wednesday, probably you'll finish, or on Thursday, you'll finish. You do not need to be in a mess, right, until last minute. That is very, very important, okay? Very, very important. So let's start the course materials. Course materials. Question? Sure. Usually, I will post the lab on Monday. It means that you have a couple of days to finish, okay? I will not just post the lab on Wednesday. So which means that you have 3 to 4 days to finish, okay? You can join, yeah, you can join, yeah. Yeah, you join. You just have multiple ways to start the lecture, okay? Yeah. You can do both, okay? No problem, yeah. So, okay. So in chapter 2, we are going to learn some basic things, how to program in C#, or Visual C#. So this is not very challenging. If you already have some previous coding experience, that is easy. But for a lot of students, coding is new, okay? Even considering that we are in business school, for most courses you have taken, they are non-technical, okay? They are, for example, case study. or qualitative courses. So this is a technical course. So we try to start from point zero, okay? We start from how to program in Visual C#, okay, Visual C#. So the textbook and the pictures are based on Visual Studio 2017, the 2017. So I will try to use 2017 to illustrate, okay, the course materials, okay. So let me log in first. I will use apps.usf.edu, okay. You can see that I have. So you will do the same thing if you want to use application gateway, okay, application gateway. So you log in. Okay, you log in, you see, if you click all apps, right, you click all apps. So you have a bunch of different apps. So for this course, we are going to use Visual Studio 2017. So I click Visual Studio 2017. So it's starting. Okay, we are starting Visual Studio 2017. We are going to use okay. So on your laptop, if you're running Windows, okay, so it's better for you to install Visual Studio 2017 because the interface will be exactly the same thing as the pictures on the textbook. Okay. So I'm using Visual Studio 2017. Okay, 2017. So you see that in the slides, it will explain the coding environment in Visual C#. Okay, in Visual C#. So you need to create a new project, right? A new project. So we do Windows Form application, okay? Windows Form application .NET framework, okay? This one. So you see here, right? You see here, we have the project name. That's the first thing I want to emphasize. So in the future, if you check all the labs and assignments, you will see there is a required name of the project. For example, for lab 1, we have lab 1.1 and lab 1.2, right? So in this case, you need to have the required name for the project. In other words, when you create the project, you need to make sure that the name of the project, right? The name is here. The name of the project is the required name. For example, if I create, right? If I create lab 1.1, right? So I use the required name from the lab instruction. Make sure that this is the correct name. Why I emphasize this? Because if you use the wrong name, then you have to change the name later. Changing a project name is not easy. Okay, you need to do a lot of things to change the name of the project. It is not just rename the folder or rename something. You need to follow a bunch of different steps in order to rename a new project, an existing project. So in this case, when you start to work on the project, make sure that the name of the project is correct. Okay, the name of the project is correct. That is the first thing you have to be careful. Okay. The second thing is, I still try to emphasize it for another time. So when you are using application gateway, the location is important. Okay, you see here, I have the location is C drive, right? I have C drive as the location. So for application gateway, the C drive is not the C drive on your laptop or on your desktop. This is the C drive on the server. It means that if you save your project there on the server, you will lose the whole your work for sure. You cannot get it back. Okay, you have to change the location to your S drive. But if you are running Visual Studio on your own laptop, you have Visual Studio installed on your laptop. This C drive is your C drive. Okay, it is safe. You just go this place and you find your project. But for application gateway, this C drive is the C drive on the server. If you use this location, you will lose your work for sure. Okay, you see that I have emphasized this for multiple times. Why? Because it is important. I do not want to see some students send me an email that I have been working on the project for a couple of days, but I lost all my work. Okay, that is a very bad strategy. So first step, rename the project to the required name. Second step, try to make sure that the location of the project is in a good place. For your local laptop, any location is fine because it's local. But for the application gateway, right, this location has to be your S drive, okay? You see that I click browse, okay? I click browse and I pick location S drive, right? So here, you see I don't have my S drive here, but I can, let me see, I can map it. I can map it, okay? Let me see where is, so I have, where is my stuff? Okay, I can map it. So if you check the slides, right, you can check the slides, you will see that okay, that is the, right, this is the location for your S drive, right? So you can do, I right click this PC, I map network drive. So I pick S drive, right? Got it. So I have exact name for the, right? I have my net ID. Okay, I finish. Right, you see that I just log in. Okay. See, be somewhere. You see, right? Now I can access my S drive. Okay, so I add my S drive here because my S drive is not here, but add it. So now I pick my S drive. For example, I go to there, right, in C# and select folder. Right, you see, in this case, right, I can save my new project, right, my new project to my S drive. Okay, you need to follow the same step because, so if you have added S drive, okay, you can access S drive, you just save it to S drive. Now I show you how to add it in application gateway, right? Okay, and you can use it. Let me create. So I create a new project. You see that is creating the project. So this is the interface. It is interface. Okay, let me make it a little bit larger. So you see, this is the interface of a new project. So in lab 0, you have tried this, right? You create a new project and you submit the empty project. So if we go here, right? Visual C# application project starts with creating its GUI, graphical user interface, with designer toolbox, property windows, okay? In the designer, an empty form is automatically created, and applications is GUI is made of forms and controls. Each form and control in the application's GUI must have a name as ID. The default blank form is named form1 automatically. So in this case, if you go back to this interface, you can see you have empty form, which is this area, right? You will see the name of the form is form1, okay, form1. So this is design window, and this is a solution explorer. All files are there, and on the bottom right, this is the property window, okay? And first, you need to understand the structure of the coding environment. So you will design the interface and write code in the main window, design window here. And all files are managed in the Solution Explorer. And when you need to manipulate some of the properties, you go to the property window. Okay, you go to the property window. So this is the interface of Visual C#. Okay, Visual C#. The form's bounding box and sizing handles. So this is the size of the form. A form in Designer is enclosed with thin dotted lines called the bounding box. The bounding box has smaller sizing handles. You can use them to resize the form, okay, which is like this, right? So if the form is too small for your application, right, you can drag it to large and small, right? You can make it large or small, right, based on what you want. So if you want to be more exact, you can go to the property window, this one, and you can find there is, I rank all from alphabetic. So you can see there is a property size, okay, size. You can change the parameters in size property to manipulate the size of the form. For example, now the size is 924 by 537. If I change, right, if I change to 800 by 500, right? You click enter, you see the form is resized, okay? You can drag to resize the form. You can also use the property window, property size, to resize the size of the form. So you need to know how to resize the form when you are working on a project with a lot of elements. For example, we have a bunch of text box, you have a bunch of buttons, right? This size may not be small enough, good enough to contain all the controls. So in this case, you want to resize the form, So that is the first thing. So for the second thing, right, you see the property window, right? You can see property window you have. So when you select object, its properties are displayed in property window. So each property has two columns, left, property name, right, properties value. For example, if you go there, right? So left, this one is size, right? Right one, it is the value, okay? It is a value. If I click the form, you see, for text property, right? Because text property, it is form1, okay? It means that we can also change the name of the form. The current name is form1. You can change it to some different names, okay? Name. In some labs and assignments, so there is a required name of the form. It means that in this case, you have to change the property first, okay? From the lab instructions, you can see we have detailed step-by-step instructions. Sometimes we have required name of the form. Sometimes we have required name of the control. In this case, you need to rename everything based on the requirement. Okay, based on the requirement. So next one is changing property values. Okay, properties values. You select an object such as form by clicking it once. For example, so in this application, right, we have not added any control on the form. If you click the form, so it is selected. All the properties of that object currently is a form are displayed in the property window. For example, if I change the text from form1 to billing, right? Billing form, okay? If I click this, I click enter, you see Here, the name of the form is changed from form 1 to billing form. Okay, billing form. So that is how we change the property of object. Okay, of object. Here in the slides, so we change the name from form 1 to my first program. Okay, my first program. Here we can change it here. So let's change it. So we have my first program. Okay, you see the name is now my first program. Okay, my first program. So the next one is how to add controls to a form. You see, if I go to here, on my form, it's empty. Nothing is on the form. Okay. In order to do something, we have to have buttons, text box. We have different things to display to do something. So how to add controls on the form? You need to go to toolbox. Okay, you see we have toolbox here. So if you click toolbox, you will see you have a bunch of different things. So we usually in this course we use all Windows forms. Okay, you click this. You click this arrow, you will see all Windows forms are here. Okay, all possible controls are in the list. At least in this course, so all the required controls are here. Okay, or are here. So the next question is, so how we can add a control on the form? You have two different ways to add it. For example, now I want to add a button. I want a button. Okay, I want a button. So the first way to add a control is double click it. Okay, we can double click the control, and one control will be added on the form. You can see, for example, if I double click, okay, you see there is a button here, right? So the button is added on the form. Okay, on the form. So another way. So another way to add a control is you click the button and drag the button to the form. For example, I click button. Okay, the drag button on the form. You see, I have another button. Okay, two different ways to add a control on the form. The first way is double click. Double click the control. The control that is on the form. The second way is drag the control to the form. Okay, two different ways to add a control on the form. Okay. So you can also resize the control using its bounding box and sizing handles. Move the control's position by dragging it. Change its properties in the properties window. For example, if we go to this form, okay, go to this form. So if I have my button, you can see that the current name is button 1, right? I have my button 1. So for button 1, you can see if I click button 1, it is selected. Then in the property window. So these are the properties of the button 1, okay? So for example, the text property is button 1. I can change to clear. Right? I click clear. Okay. If I change the text property clear, you see I click enter. The text is changed to clear. Okay. So also if I feel that the button is too small, I can resize it. Right. I drag it. You see the button size is changed. Okay, it's changed. And also if you want to be more exact, you go to the size property, right? There are two parameters. Now it is 111 by 45. I change it to 100 to 40, right? In this case, you can see that you also resize the size of the button, okay? Multiple different ways to manipulate the button. Now we are talking about how to design an interface. We are not in the coding stage, okay? In this course, you see that the name of the course is what? It is Business Application Development, okay? That's why we have interface design and coding. Now we are learning interface design. Okay, interface design stage. Interface design stage. So the next one is rules for naming controls. Okay, controls names are identifiers of the control. Naming conventions are first, the first character must be a letter, lower or uppercase does not matter, or an underscore. All other characters can be numerical characters or underscores. The name cannot contain spaces. For example, show day button. So first letter is small. This letter for day, it is capital, right? Display total starting from a capital letter. Underscore score label, we start from undercase, right? All these names are okay in C#, but they are logically fine. However, in C#, we have some special requirement for naming convention. Okay, naming convention. This naming convention will also be very useful. Why? Because it is a proof that you are a professional. You are not a new programmer, you are a professional. By following the naming convention, okay, so other coders, other programmers can read your code in an easy way. Okay, in an easy way, okay? So before we learn that, so we go over the materials, creating the GUI for your first Visual C# application. So for this project, we are going to create the application GUI, write the code that causes hello world to appear when the user clicks the button. You see, it is very simple. Only a form with a button. When you click the button, you will see the message hello world. That's it, okay? But that is the first project we are going to learn. So in the future, for all the other projects, labs and assignments, so things are more complicated. You need more controls. You need more code, but the style is the same, okay? The story is similar. Story is similar. So this is the project we are going to work as example in this lecture. So C# code is primarily organized in 3 ways: namespace, classes, method. A file that contains a program code is called a source code file, okay? If I go back here, let's see, if I go back here, okay, if I go back here, here we can only see an interface, no coding part. There is no place for us to write any code, okay? Just a form interface. So how to find the area in which we can make some code? So you go to the Solution Explorer, you go to there, you click form1.cs, okay? You click form1.cs. So for this file, if you right-click it, you will see a bunch of different menu, okay? We open with. So you are going to select View Code, okay? So you see that if I click View Code, so in the design window, you have 2 labels, okay? You have forms.cs, okay? Forms1.cs. This is the coding area, the coding part, okay? There are 2 things. If I click forms.cs design, you see the form, okay? You can see the form. So we are going to design the graphical interface in this window. However, in the forms1.cs, we are going to write code which will be used in this form. Okay, this is a graphical interface, and forms1.cs is the coding area. Okay, so let me emphasize it again. So if you cannot see the coding part, you go to forms1.cs, right click, right, select view code. You will see the coding part. So if you close the design, can I close it, right? Design window is not there, right? If you want to design the interface again, you will right click forms1.cs, right? You select view designer. Okay, you see the interface is back. Okay, so view the code will give you the coding part. View designer will give you the graphical part, interface part. Okay, that's how we work on these two different files. In this whole project, okay, in this whole course, we are mainly focused on these two files. Okay, design interface and the coding area, or coding area. Okay. So let's go back to the slides. Okay, let's go back to slides. So we are learning the organization of the code. Okay, organization of the code. A file that contains a program code is called a source code file. This is source code file. If I go to interface, right, this is forms1.cs. Okay, this is this file. So let me see if I can make it a little bit. Little bit larger. Where is it? It should be somewhere. Okay. Yeah, let's use it for now. Okay, let's use it for now. So this is how you get the source code in the Solution Explorer. Right click, right? The forms1.cs, select view code. You will see the coding part. So this is organization of forms1.cs. If I go to C#, so this is the coding part. So I can go to slides because it's larger. Okay, I can review the code here, code the same here. So you see, we have 4 different parts. Part 1 is the using directives indicate which namespaces of .NET framework this program will use. You see here, we have using system collection generic, using system.text, right? Using system.windows.form. What are these things? They are templates, basically, because so you drag the form, right? Drag a button directly to the form. You use some method embedded in the form. For these things, you need to tell C#, Visual C#. So what kind of templates I want to use? I want to use form. I want to use controls. I want to use these things. Okay, these are templates. Okay, these are templates, which we are going to use in this application. We are going to tell, right? Tell C#. Oh, we are going to use these things. Please load these things in the program. Okay, these are pre-set up. So for part two is user-defined namespace of the project, not .NET Framework namespaces. In part 2, we are going to build our own code. Okay. So in the future, for most coding part, we are going to put our code in part 2. Okay, in part 2. In part 3, it is class declaration. So we have not learned the class, but you see, in this example, it is part 3, public partial class forms1.form. You can understand, this is some detailed template for form. Okay, we tell C# we are working on form. Okay, that is part 3. So part 4 is a method. What is a method? You can understand it as a function to do something. For example, right? We want to calculate the sum of 2 numbers. In this case, you can build a method with 2 inputs, 2 numbers as inputs. In the method, you are going to calculate number 1 plus number 2. It is a function which can do something, because that is a method. So in this empty form, we only have one method, which is public form1, and inside this method, you see, we have a pair of curly braces. A pair of curly braces is used for each part. You see, for part 2, we have a pair of curly braces. For class level, part 3, we have another pair of curly braces. For part 4, we have the third level pair of curly braces. So each pair of curly braces give us something. And for this one, public forms 1, it is a method. Okay, inside this pair of curly braces, we only have one line, which is initialize component. What is that? It is running the form. Okay, it is running the form, nothing inside. Just tell Windows. So we have a form, running the form. Okay, running the form. That's a method. So C# code is organized as methods which are contained inside classes, which are contained inside namespaces. Okay, it's inside classes, inside. Number 4 is inside number 3. Number 4 is inside number 2. Right? Okay, that is structure of the method. So you may be still be a little bit confused. So what you need to understand is, in this course, most of the time you need to write number 4. Okay, we are going to work on different methods. So it is inside number 2 and inside number 3. Okay, for most coding part, we are going to do it is some kind of number 4, different methods. Okay, that is the thing I want you need to understand. So adding your code. So GUI applications are event-driven, which means they interact with users, okay, in the users. So that's why we call it business application, because we have a graphical interface, okay, business application. So if you're working with your manager, you cannot just write a very ugly or no interface, because a graphical interface always helps, right? It can help people to understand the functionality of your application. Okay, so an event is a user action such as mouse clicking, key pressing, etc. Double clicking a control such as button will link the control to a default event handler. An event handler is a method that executes when a specific event takes place. A code segment similar to the following will be created automatically. Okay, what is that? It is if we go back to the Visual C#, go back to design interface. In my interface, I only have one button. Okay, so if you click the button, all the properties of the button is in the property window. So if I go to the name property of the button, you see it is button 1. It is the name of the button. So it is not the text displayed on the button. These are two different properties. Okay, name of the button is a name used in C#. It is a name how C# know this button. When C# check this button, C# will use the name property button 1, okay? But for us, we can change the text property of the button to some meaningful words, right? To some meaningful words. For example, here we have clear, right? We can also change the property, text property to something different. For example, we change it to click me, right? Click me. Okay, click. You see, the text property is different from the name property, right? Name property. So let me change the name to something different. So in the slides, right, we have my button. Okay, my button here. So I change button 1 to my button. Button. Okay, my button. You click enter. So now the name is changed from button 1 to my button. Remember, the name property is different from the text property. Text property is the text displayed on the button, which is used to help, right, users understand the functionality of the button. However, the name button is the name used in C#. Okay, in C#. Here I have changed the name to my button. And in the slides, we are learning event handler, which is one very important concept in this course. What is that? So it is, we want to tell C# something. What is? When we click the button, what will happen? Right? Now it is empty. You click the button, nothing will happen because we have not written anything. For event handler of this button, we want to tell C#, when we click the button, what will happen? Okay, what will happen? So that is an event handler. It means that when we click the button, an event will occur. The event will occur. So how to add an event handler in the code? Okay, you will double click one control, then an event handler will be added to your code automatically. Let's try. Okay. So for this button, if I double click, you see, so C# will switch to the Visual Studio interface automatically. Now we have a new method, which is private void my button click. My button click. So when you double click an event handler, so empty, a new event or method will be created. That is how you create an event handler. Okay. In lab 1, you will practice this for multiple times because for different controls, you need to write the code for buttons. Okay, for buttons of menus. Okay. That is the first thing I want to emphasize. Then a potential problem will occur based on this. Because when we double click a control, an event handler will be added to my code automatically. So a potential issue will be there for a lot of students, which is, so for a lot of students, you are working with your laptop, right? And you are working with a touchpad, right? You use a touchpad to move your mouse, right? You double click your touchpad to double click something, right? When you use a touchpad, for a lot of students, you will unintentionally double click a lot of controls because you move here, you move there, right? Sometimes you move. You will unintentionally double click a lot of different controls. It means you will unintentionally create a lot of useless event handler. We call it redundant event handler. Okay, that's why there are some students, when they finish their work and they check their code, they will see a lot of, I didn't create it. Why it's there? Because you have double click sometimes when you work on the project. Okay, this is a frequently occurring problem for students who are using your laptop by using a touching pad. Okay, touching pad. So my recommendation is, if you see this problem in your code, right, try to use a mouse, physical mouse. Why? Because by using a physical mouse, it's easier to avoid those problems. Okay, you can avoid, I double click something unintentionally. Everything is accurate. Okay, I double click it because I want to, not I double click it because I have no idea. I just double click it. I create empty event handler. Okay, so that is the thing I want to emphasize. When you work on lab 1, okay, lab 1, check your code frequently. Okay, do not double click an event handler if you do not want to create an event handler. Okay, my recommendation is, if you find this problem, try to use a physical mouse. That will be easier for you. Okay. You see here, we double click, so an empty, no code inside this pair of curly braces is created in your code, right? My button click, right? My button under case click, okay, under case click. So message boxes, that is the first method we are going to use in this course, okay? A message box displays a message. The .NET framework provides a method named messageBox.show. You see, here it is important. MessageBox.show, M is capital, right? It starts with a capital M. B is also capital, okay? For .show part, S is capital. Why I emphasize it? Because if you do not use capital letters, it's an error in C#. Okay, it is case sensitive. Also, in the exam, okay, we will have online exams. In the online exams, you have a lot of coding questions. Each coding question is not difficult, but they are testing you basic techniques. For example, I may ask you to use messageBox.show method to display a message, one-line statement. For this problem, when you write this method, messageBox.show, you need to follow M capital, okay? B capital, S capital, okay? You have to follow the correct format. Why I emphasize this? Because it is how you learn coding. How you learn coding. So in this course, all coding projects are not difficult. To be honest, they are not difficult. But in the future, if you really participate in a large coding project, you may need to write thousands lines of code statements. So in this case, you have to be very professional. At least when you write 50 lines of problems, 50 lines of statements, there are no errors. Okay, if you have errors in every single line, there is no way you can finish such a project. Okay, that is one thing I want to say. So you need to remember so for these methods, they are case sensitive. Okay, case sensitive. Capital M, capital B, capital S, or capital S. C# can use it to pop up a window and display a message. A sample code is this. We have messageBox.show. Thanks for clicking the button. Okay, let's add this code in our application. Okay, in our application. So we have added, right, this line of statements, right? We need message, right, box.show, right? So we have thanks for clicking the button, right? That. Thanks for clicking the button, right? So in C# or in most advanced programming languages, you need a semicolon in the end of each statement. Okay, we have a semicolon. Messagebox.show, thanks for clicking the button. Okay, thanks for clicking the button. So we add this line of statement, right? This line. So this line in Visual C# in our project. Okay. So now this is a new code. You see, if you follow my steps in your Visual C#, you will have the same interface as the one shown in the slides. Okay, in the slides. So this is initialization, and you have one event handler, which is my button click. You have one line of statement inside this method, messagebox.show, and we are going to see the message. Thanks for clicking the button. Okay, let's try the application. Okay, try the application. So in Visual C#, right? So when you finish your code, okay, if there are no errors, okay, let's assume if there are no errors. So you see, if I don't have semicolon, there'll be some errors, okay? You see, right? There will be, if I try to start, okay, if I try to start. So I have one field. So I have some error, I have some problem, right? So in this case, I do need to add a semicolon, okay? If you have the semicolon, then there is no error in your code. So you can run starts, okay? Right, it's running, right? This is the code. This is the first running code, okay? We have a project. We have one button on the form, and we have written some code, right? We have used the message box.show method to display the message, okay? You see that, and in the code we want to display the message. Thanks for clicking the button. So if I click the button, you see I have the message, right? Thanks for clicking the button, which is exactly what we want. If you check the code, right? It is exactly what we want. So you click OK, the message is gone, okay? So in this first project, we learned how to create a project, rename the project, right? Change the location of the project. How to, there are three windows, design windows, Solution Explorer, and Property window, three windows for you to use, right? And we learn how to add controls in the form. And we learn how to add event handler by double-clicking the control, right? We double-click the control, and event handler will be added in the form. Also, how we learn to use the message box.show method to display a message. And so we use double quote for this message. Thanks for clicking the button. Okay, thanks for clicking the button. So we learn this from this example. You see, for message box.show, so you need to have a pair of bracket. Okay, bracket. And for the message you want display, you need a double quote. Okay, you need a double quote to display the message. Okay, double quote display the message. So, and this is a code, and I just show you, right, how to run the application. Okay, how to run the application. Okay. So the next topic is label controls. Okay, label controls. So what is label control? A label control displays the text on a form and can be used to display unchanging text or program output. Here, the keyword is the output. And for labels, so we will not use it as input. When we want to type something, we use text box. Okay, we use text box. But for labels, we use it as output. It means that, for example, when you calculate, right, the final billing amount of the customer, you will display the final amount in a label, on label. Okay, so we use label as output. Okay, output. So we can learn some properties of the label. Okay, so if I go to my Visual C#, right, I close it, I go design phase. So I want what? I want, oh, I need to close it. I need to, so where is my, so this is my form design interface. If I click toolbox, right? So if you check all Windows form controls, you will see label here, right? In this course, buttons, labels, text boxes, those are most frequently used controls in this course, okay? So how to add a control in the form? We double click, right? Or drag the control to the form. So let's drag this label to the form. You have the label, right? You have the label, okay? So we have text property, name property, font, border style, auto size, text align, right? You have these properties Text same. So gets or sets text associated with label control. So name is gets or sets the name of the label control. Font allows you to set the font style, and font size. Border style allows you to display a border around the controls text. Auto size controls the way they can be resized. Text align set the text alignments. Okay, so here, so the tricky property is auto size. What is that? If, let's see, right? If I go to this, I click the label, so I have auto size. Okay. So what is auto size? So auto size property is used when you want the label to change the size of the label based on the text input. Then we use auto size, which is not used when you want enough space to display the result. Okay? It means that you see that if I use auto size, so now the text is label 1. So the size of the label is just right for the letters LABLE1 for this 6 letter and numbers, label 1. For example, you cannot change the size of it. However, if you change the auto size from true to false, right? Now you see you can change the size of size of the label. Okay, so you can change to a large enough space to display the results. Okay, usually for output labels, you do need to change auto size properties. Okay, auto size properties. It means when you work on your own project, you find, oh, I cannot see all my outputs so in my label. Then that means that you need to change auto size property. Okay. So also align text assignment. It means how you are going to align the text on the label. Put it top left or bottom right or middle center. Okay, middle center. In the lab manual, okay, for these different controls, there will be detailed requirement for these properties. Okay, when you follow the lab manuals, you need to make sure that you satisfy these requirements, because so all these details will be graded. When we collect your work, we will grade your work based on those details. Okay, based on those details. Okay. So using code to display output in a label control by adding the following bold line to a buttons event handler. So a label control can be display output of the application. For example, if you have a label, answer label.text equals Theodore Roosevelt. So it means that when you click the button, the text on the label will be displayed as Theodore Roosevelt. Okay. The equal sign is known as an assignment operator. The item receiving the value must be on the left equal sign. The text property accepts a string only. So if you need to use string, you need double quote for the text. You see, I have a double quote for this Theodore space Roosevelt, right? I have a double quote. So use double quote for string to display in the text. In the text. Let me see. Have some. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. I want to teach something before we finish today. Okay, which is useful for you guys. It is naming convention. Okay, naming convention. Here, I just mentioned. So these are naming conventions. Naming conventions, right? So naming ways, they are all effective names, effective ways to name a control. However, what is the naming convention? So the naming convention here is, let me add it here, okay? It's camel case, okay? That's only one thing I want to emphasize for today's lecture. So what is camel case? It is the name consists of several words without space, okay? Several words. But so the first word, okay, we'll start with small case, small with lowercase, right? Lowercase letter, okay? So starting from the second word, so we use uppercase letter. That's it, okay? So the naming convention is camel case, okay? Camel case. So for camel case, you have a couple of different words. First word is starts with small letter. For the starting from the second word, we use we start with capital upper word. For example, right? For example, so let's assume we want to name my button, right? I want to give a meaningful name button, my button, right? I want to use this one, right? You can see here, right? So if you check the name of this my button, so it is my button, right? So I want to name the name of the button to be my button. Okay, I have two words. The common case is there will be no space between words. Okay, and also the name will start from small letter. It means for my M will be small letter, lowercase letter. Okay, starting from the second word, button will start from a capital letter. Okay, capital letter. For example, if I want to name a label, the final billing label, right? I have three words, okay? I have a label control. I want to name the label to be final billing label, final billing label. So in this case, I have three words. So the first word will start with a small letter, final, okay? Final. Second word, billing will be capital, start from capital B. Third word, label will be start from capital L. Okay, that is camel case. Okay, first word will start with a small letter, starting from the second word. So we are going to use capital letters. Okay, this is camel case. Okay, camel case. Let's go back to the slides, right? So in C#, actually all these names are good, can be used. C# will not tell you it's error. It can pass. However, in order to be professional, we are going to follow some name convention. The camel case is one convention, which is, you can see this one, show the button, right? Show will start with a small letter S, right? D will start from a capital D, button will start from a capital B, okay? This is camel case convention, or camel case convention, okay? This is the thing I want to emphasize for when you name your control. So in C#, okay, in C#, when you work on your project, so when you add a control to the form, the first step is always to change the name of the control. Okay, for example, I have add a label, right? Label. And if you check the name of the label, it will be label 1, right? Label 1. When you add a control on the form, you need to change its name first before you do anything else. You see, here, default name, the name created in C# is label 1. So I would like to change to, for example, display label, right? The display label will be following camel case. Display, letter D is small. Label, letter L is capital. Okay? Camel case. Okay? So that is the thing I want to say before we finish today. Okay? And by the way, starting from today, so we'll have a quiz or exercise after each lecture. So the format I have introduced the format of the quiz last week. Okay, the format is, so I will start the quiz, and the quiz will last for 2 hours. They are simple. They are just based on what we have learned in the lecture slide. They are very simple. Okay, I just want to make sure you follow the learning steps, because it is very, very important for such a technical class. Okay, so in the 2-hour time window, so when you start the quiz, you have 30 minutes to finish the quiz. Okay, most of the time it may only take 5 to 10 minutes to finish the quiz if you learn the lecture. Okay, so I want to make sure that you do study the lecture, you know what's going on, you know basic things. Okay, that's why I give the quiz. So for the quiz, you can use whatever you want. Okay, whatever you want. So you can only even discuss with your classmates, no problem. So the only thing is, when you write the final answer, write it by yourself. Okay, because all the other things are used to help you to learn. Not if you are a student who treats the quiz as an easy way to get some points. It's wrong. It is wrong, okay? You need to use it as an opportunity to learn. In other words, try to learn the materials and finish the quiz. 30 minutes will be more than enough. So in later part of this semester, there may be 1 or 2 quizzes in which you need a little bit more time. I'll give you enough time, okay? The point is, make sure that you do learn the materials. That's very, very important, okay? So any question before we start the quiz? I start the quiz on Canvas. Any question? Question?
So we need to complete the quiz in 2 hours from now?
Yes. You have 2 hours to complete the quiz. They are very simple questions based on the slides we just went over.
Okay.
What? Yes, I will enable it, and it will last for 2 hours. Okay? It means you can spend some time, you go over the materials, then spend 30 minutes, because the strategy of my strategy is, I try to warm your memory after class, because for a lot of students, for technical materials, if you get rid of it for like 5 hours, 7 hours, you forget. Okay? You spend 30 minutes, 20 minutes in going over all the materials, then you solve the simple problem, right? You get your points, you learn something. That's my point. Okay? You will see. So in previous semesters, for quiz part, most students get all the points because they're easy. You can see there's no difficulty, right? I'm not challenging you. I try to give you opportunity to learn, right? But the problem is you learn. Okay, that is my objective. Okay, any other question? Okay, if you have no question, right, let's go to the quiz part. Okay, quiz part. Okay. Okay, I have the quiz. Okay. Oh, it's available. Okay, it's available. Let me make sure that. So now it's 4:45. Okay. So let's start from, by counting will start from 5 p.m. It means that it will end from until 7 p.m. Okay, 7 p.m. Okay. So until, so the due date is 7.
Did you make it available like right now so you can take it right now?
It's right now. It's
Right now, okay.
Yes, it's available right now. Yeah, it's already available. Yeah. So remember, I'm not challenging you. I'm not testing you. Okay, I'm trying to push you to learn. Okay, that is my strategy. Okay. Okay. Can you check it's available? Do not start. Okay, because you have one time to start. Just check if it's available. Okay. It's easy. It's very easy. Okay, just based on slides we just went over. Okay. Okay, if you have no question, okay, that is for today's lecture. So on Thursday, on Wednesday, we are going to finish chapter 2, and you can start to work on lab 1, starting from, which is due on Thursday, okay? On Wednesday, I will reserve a little bit of time for you, but which is not enough, okay? Which is not enough. So, but I hope you can learn the materials from the lab because of practice. Do not just watch the video and follow it step by step without learning, because you will learn nothing from it. Okay, that is my comment. Okay, good. See you on Wednesday. The quiz is available on Canvas now, so it will be available until 7 p.m. today. Okay, so you can spend, if you are not fully clear, just spend 15 to 20 minutes, right, on the materials. Then you can finish. It may only take 5 minutes to finish. Okay, good.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Yeah, they ask questions. I'm typing.
And since I attended in person, I didn't need to join the team.
You can join. You can do. You can join both.
But not joining is okay as well?
It's okay. Yeah. It's I'm not taking attendance. I'm just. You have multiple ways to learn. That's it. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah. Okay.
Have a great day.
You too.
See you on Thursday.
Yeah. See you on Thursday. Wednesday. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Wednesday.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye.